I'm trying to figure out what to put where. What to put where. And every time I think of something, you can't, these have got to stay handy to the eye. Always little ends like this, washers. Maybe they can go down the bottom. Nuts, I'm always looking for nuts. Yeah, these bigger bolts, they can go down, and these two can be doubled up, can't they? So they can disappear down the bottom, on the bottom of the bottom shelves. So we can say, right, the big heavy stuff's down the bottom. Long bolts is so handy. These you always want a little 13mm or a 1/2 inch little bolt on you, and then you've never got one long enough, so the nice long ones, they've got to stay somewhere useful. Another quite long ones, bits of clips here. The trouble is, they're so different. You don't want them to disappear into obscurity in the shelf, never to be seen again. And the little sets over there. Wood screw, always using them. The springs can disappear. Nice longer screws. What the hell is that doing here? That doesn't belong, does it? Really. We've got some more screws in the back and a few tech screws. Always useful size, slightly on the longer and the medium. Fencing, these are good for if you're screwing into steel, because look, they'll drill their own hole and make a fixing into steel. These, you've got to keep these close to hand. They're a handy size, aren't they? Fencing, these you've got to keep them in your face, you know. They're always, when you're doing a project or something, nice shiny ones. We do like nice shiny ones, don't we? Again, you know, sometimes you want something a bit longer. I'm not sure what they are. Little grub screws these are. But the thing is, you can put them in a place and they can disappear, but when you want a grub screw, you want a grub screw, don't you? Yeah, same as these. Little hex driven, little stainless steel, yeah, and you want that to be easy to find, easy to hand to find, isn't it? Quite long ones. Coach bolts, yeah, little fat coach bolts, you always want them. These are lovely screws, mainly because they're easy to drive. They very rarely slip, so I use them quite a lot. Spring washers, yeah, you can't put them out of sight. We've used them on quite a few jobs. It's got a thread here and a hole there, so as you can see, the jar's gone down. So the reason it's in a big jar, because there would have been lots of it, so you don't really want to put them out of sight. Yeah, a couple of big nuts here, a couple of screws, you always want them handy. Little screws like this, you never want to lose them down in a shelf of doom, do you? Little set here, a couple of bits there, we can double up. We can double up on a couple of them. We know where there's another jar of them, so we can double up them. These you want to keep in a place where you can spot them straight away. Same as nuts. You can't be having these buried, because you want to find them instantly. You want to look at the shelf and, oh, there they are. Yeah, nails, you know, the old-fashioned nails. Same here, ordinary little nails. Potter screws. How many times are you looking for a screw to do a job? Just get a little screw. So you can't, those things, you can't hide them, put them down in the shelf of doom down the bottom, can you? Everything, I mean, these, how many, what's that? That's a hole to be welded on, isn't it? How many times have we used that to clip things on? And I need a hole on the end of there, so you just weld one on, don't you? I use them all the time, and these plates for spreading weight. Wow, these hooks. The Allen key head nuts. Well, they're all right. They're a good candidate to go one behind each other. So we'll put them behind each other. What's these little handy screws? So everything I look at, I don't want them to disappear in the shelves, because I've used them all in their time. You know what I mean? These are little handy stubby little nuts. Sometimes, okay, they're big. You don't use them that often. So they can go down the bottom, can't they? Little shiny little bolts, we can't, they've got to stay in view. They can go underneath. They can go behind each other, two on a shelf, can't they? These are little coach bolts, look, long ones. How many times do you want a little thin coach bolt? Blimey, washers. not sure what they are, but they're only in a small jar. Washers, you can't be having these go out of your sight. Nuts, yeah. Now these, they're them like a raw plug type thing. You put them in, and so I haven't used them much, but I don't really want them to disappear in the shelves, never to be seen again. Coach bolt, rather big, so that could go. Little tiny, you don't want these to be disappearing, do you? You want these in your face, don't you? These are useful, all useful stuff. The rivets, we've got 2 pots of them, so they can do behind each other on a shelf, so that's okay. These, you're always using these. You can never let these disappear. You've got to keep them somewhere where you can see them. These again, we want to keep them somewhere handy. We use them all the time, don't we? These. Is that the same? Oh, is there? Will they double up? So we come down here now. Where can we move them to? Everything I see, I've used them. So it's something that I want to find again. Nuts, you're always looking for a nut, aren't you? And washers to fit. And even this, as stupid as this is, the amount of times I've used that as just a hole. I want to weld a hole somewhere, and I've used these. So I know I've used them previously. I don't want them to disappear, never to be found again. Yeah, little nuts are always handy, aren't they? You always keep them. We come down, there's nuts here. I don't know what they are. Always keep them somewhere you can see. Using these little coach bolts all the time, and these lag, the screw in the lag bolt things. You don't want them to disappear. I want to keep everything easily to find. Nuts, you always want a pot of nuts, little 13mm nuts all the time, 1/2 inch. What's in here? They're pretty dark. Oh, pretty dark and pretty big, I think. So they can go right down the bottom here, never to be seen again. Bigger bolts, look, bigger, older bolts. See, those sort of things, you can categorize them together. But all this other stuff, I just want it in my face. I use it all the time down the bottom here. These need to come up. These need to come up because, using these all the time. What are they then? They're those, little bolts, using them all the time. Look at these little stainless steel bolts here. Oh, they can't be down here. They cannot be down here in the bottom shelf, in the bottom shelf of doom. No, so we're going to put the big heavy stuff that we don't use in the same category down there, and maybe the next set of shelves will double up, put if there's 2 of, one behind the other. I don't mind one behind the other, and then otherwise it's I know it's a stupid problem. It's a nice problem to have so many fixings. And this is just one lot of shelves that I want to try and sort out. You've got to put the right things in the right place so you can just, oh yeah, I know where they are. Or if somebody said to me, for argument's sake, I like to do things in about 3 moves. If you said to me, because this is what happens, if you said to me, oh Reggie, you haven't got a dozen of them, have you? I need to be able to think, oh right, not only what it is, but where would I put it? I need a logical place to put it. Oh, I know, I put it with all the rest of the coach bolts. So all the coach bolts are together, or bolts of a similar size are together. I need to put them in a place where, and sometimes you remember where they are because you're going through them, they're using them. When you're in your cupboards all day, every day, then you know where stuff is. But sometimes I forget where stuff is. Sometimes I can remember, oh yeah, I know where they are. It's muscle memory, it's, or even if you never use these, but you used the jar next to them, then you'd know where these are because these are next to that jar that I use all the time. if you get what I mean. Are you with me? Are you on the same wavelength? How on earth am I gonna sort these out in a logical way, easy to find, easy to remember? There's so many odd bits and pieces that I've used in the past that, oh yeah, they've come in handy. I always use them, you know, like I say. But anyway, we just gotta persevere. And now we've got 3 locations, haven't we? So it's gonna be even worse. It's gonna get even worse trying to figure out or trying to remember where something is. And if we choose, let's say we use a site of big bolts, that means I'm going to get all the big bolts from all the big places that I know and put them in here. And then I know, right, all the big bolts are in this shelf under here. And then what do you think about? You know, I'm always struggling. There's always pots of nuts somewhere, something doing somewhere. But I have to sometimes go search for them. So I really should put all my nuts in one location. One shelf of nuts, you know. Anyway, something I'm going to have to sort of think about and make work easy. I'm fairly happy with this lot because it comes under the, you know, pop rivets, so I can keep a whole row of pop rivets or builder type stuff, tech screws and all that. I know where these have come from, so if I'm looking for something like this, we'll call this the TED shelf, because all the stuff that I got from here sort of, or it did come from TED. I've added a few to it. I don't know whether I'll keep them like that. Yeah, tech screw, yeah. What's that, a rivet? Yeah, that's a tech screw. That's a bit odd. It's a completely anti-loose. We've used that just for the space, really. We need to sort of identify that as an oddball. Anti-loose here again, look. Yeah, and this is that fencing stuff. We might need one shelf of odd stuff. There's all those Allen keys, Allen head ones. And these were those, yeah. Tech screws. Oh, odd rubber washers. Tech screws. We've started putting one on the end here. So, these are these little screws. So, just gotta sort of less confused about these, I think. I don't know. And would you put rivets behind each other, but a different rivet? It's okay putting these behind each other, but if there's a rivet in front, it'd be nice to have the same rivet behind. But if you haven't, you might go, well, this is the rivet, because I'm not really a rivet person. I don't use them much. But again, it's, if you've got them and you use them, you might put them in a job instead of something else. You know, if you're on a job and you want 10 of them, that's one situation. But if you want to, you know, 50 or 60 of them, then you might think, well, I'm not going to use little nuts and bolts, I'm going to use rivets. Because I've got them. Sometimes you have to adopt adapt a job to what you've got, not for what you'd like. Anyway, I'll leave that with you. This is what's going to take up the time now. The time I spend on it now will pay dividends, because once they're set, once you've set the way you want to do them, that's it. They're done then, aren't they? And you know what's in this set of shelves, and you know what's in that sort of shelves. And if somebody came along and says, Reggie, I want one of these, I go, like, for instance, if you came along and you said, Reggie, have you got any anti-loose pins? I'll go, oh yeah, I have. Where were they now? Where were they? Where did we put them? We put them down here, didn't we? And they're in this jar here. I like to find things. If I can't find anything in a sort of 3 3 looks, I'm lost. I like to instantly know, oh, I know where that is. And if it's not where I think it is, I know where I might have put it, you know, that sort of a thing. Yeah. Said all of that though, I think my most successful endeavour on keeping a track on everything is this system here, where we've done, it's only 1 shelf though, 1 each deep. Obviously it takes more space, it's not so efficient, but 1 jar of something, only deep, so you see them all straight away, and you come to the board, you pick what you want. It's going to be, I've been moving stuff around, so I've got to try and be careful, try and be really diligent, and because I know they've gone next door, and I know these Allen key ones have gone next door. I've got to sort this out yet. It's only a case of snipping that cable tie off and putting another thing, whatever I've put on the shelf instead of it. But I've got to make sure I don't make any mistakes, and make sure, keep this clean and pure, you know, true to itself. You see some big nuts up there, we can there, which are there, we could put them next door, couldn't we? There's some bigger stuff here we can put next door. Yeah, make disappear. But I think this is my most successful indexing of the nuts and bolts and screws. But of course, fine if you've got plenty of wall space and it's only 1 deep. So this, I think this still would be my perfect way of doing things. One shelf deep, and 1 of those in here, what shelf it is, shelves A, shelves B, shelves C. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, easy to find, quick. Come and see, you can compare, you can put a thing next to a thing, you know, what you're looking for. Oh yeah, I want that, but I want a bit longer, that type of thing. So I'm pleased. I think this is the way to go. This has got to be the way to go. Next door in the new shelves. It's got to be, hasn't it?